We're going down into the modern town of Carcassonne, and it just happens to be a Saturday morning, which is the market day. It's the big, once-a-week fruit and vegetable market in the main town square in the modern side of Carcassonne. So-called modern side, actually, this part of town was built back in the 13th century by King Louis. Saint Louis. He's considered one of the greatest heroes in the nation's past. He built up the Bastide, it's called. There's a little fellow out here with his master in the morning market. It seems like half the town is out here today. A good chance for people to say hi to their friends. It's just a marvelous gathering spot to have this central town square in this small town of Carcassonne. Population is about 50,000 for the entire town. And so it was built up in the 13th century and became even more important than the fortified village in the following couple hundred years. This became the economic center. Oh, and they've got some great restaurants around that town square. We were able to eat outdoors, sitting comfortably at one of the sidewalk tables with a nice view of the bustling marketplace. Even though this was photographed in late November, the temperature was cool. You can see a fountain in the middle. This fellow's got no clothes on, but most of the people are pretty warmly dressed for this late November season. But it was not cold, not freezing cold by any means. A very pleasant time to be here, and you see the fall colors are still quite lovely. The French love their cheese. Typical cheese store will have 300 to 400 kinds of cheese available, and a lot of the cheese is not pasteurized, so it's fresh and retains full flavor. Well, this has been the economic center of the region. In fact, it's still the capital of the region, and they were really noted for production of fabric back in the 13th century, 14th, 15th centuries even. And then the main focus shifted to production of wine. There's a lot of vineyards in the area, and France, of course, produces wonderful grapes for wine, and that was the most important economic item for a couple hundred years. And then a canal was built, the Canal du Midi. It runs for a couple of 100 miles and is part of a system that connects the Mediterranean with the Atlantic Ocean. And with the Canal du Midi, Carcassonne became even more important as a trading center. And there's a lot of nice shops here in the town center. It's a pedestrian zone, which makes it a very pleasant place to walk around. There's an Art Deco town hall and an archway, a gate leading into the town. The wall itself that went around this part of town was pulled down back in the 18th century, and instead there was gardens and parks put in its place. They had no further need for defense. Here's another lovely hotel. This is just on the edge of the new town, so it's outside of the old fortified village, but it has a very nice interior, very clean and spacious and modern facilities, and it has a great view looking up at the fortified village of Carcassonne up on the hill. Here's a view from one of the rooms. When you're visiting Carcassonne, you want to be sure to leave the confines of the medieval village up on the hill and come down into the new town just to get this view looking back up the hill. You cross the River Aude, and there's several bridges. There's an old bridge that's a pedestrian bridge. There's some little side canals that branch off from the river at this point as well. And there's a little part of the town down below the ramparts of the castle that's a connection between the new town and the old town. And you get some really lovely views. It's an easy walk. It only takes about 15 minutes to walk from the village down below up to the castle up on the hill.